Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. My apologies for yesterday. My son had a very important psychiatric appointment, so had to spend a good portion of yesterday morning talking to doctors and getting assessments, so I was not at my post. I was actually really pleased through the daily brief yesterday when our level 2 instructor came on, and he'd actually like to do this on a regular basis and just talk to the community about setting yourself up as a professional day trader and sort of his process, what he does, what he was looking at, the different markets, levels, etc. And Kiran is just a consummate professional. I love the way he thinks. I love just everything about his demeanor and his approach. It's just, it's a perfect day. Ironically enough, he's like the perfect personality for a day trader because he's just like, don't get too excited. Don't get too depressed. Just, next setup. And really the most important thing at the end of the day, which is really interesting when it comes to day trading, is you won't see any emotional notations on a ledger. All you're going to see is bought at, sold at, net profit, loss. That's all you're going to see. So he approaches the business in a very professional, business-like manner, and I think the community is really well served. And like I said, he's going to try and make it a more regular occurrence, which I think is a win for everybody on the site. His daily brief appearances. And also too, what's kind of cool is like hopefully by the end of the year, the TRI daily brief just becomes a cornucopia of different views and looks and methodologies from many different perspectives. So there's always something different going on. Speaking of different, we had our TRI secret options formula meeting last night, Tuesday evenings on the West Coast. And we had, I think about 4 or 5 presenters last night. Very, full offering. Including myself. I ran through a couple trade ideas that I strapped on. So I really like the idea of everybody contributing, and it's sort of a team effort. And Kevin came on through the daily brief today and did a bit of a walkthrough on different names that we have in consideration even as we speak. In fact, actually, there's a couple cute little double bottoms that I might actually even just go buy today ahead of Mr. Biden's big infrastructure speech tonight. So TRI's got a great treat listening to Kevin, with, of course, Brian throwing in his 2 cents every now and then through the daily brief today. So I thought it was a nice win-win for everybody. Also, too, what I'm noticing, really like this, is the data sets that we've put together, and I've finally been able to sort of solidify this kind of approach to the market. It's not something that you're going to find on a commercial website. They just doesn't exist. The actual studies themselves that we derive this breadth information off of are 100% Brian concept, this Delacour index, the juxtaposition of 45 different technical indicators over 3 time frames to give you a pretty solid picture of what technically an asset looks like. And then the accumulation of all of the different assets within the different asset categories, and then sort of a cumulative look of all of those assets, whether they're bullish or bearish at any given point in time. That's actually how we derive this breadth data. Very unique and just totally next level. I was trying to sort of give the pitch to the team overnight about how we actually go about marketing this. And, the irony of it all is all I got to do is just simply load up the breadth, especially the internal indicator signals. And really, I mean, this speaks for itself. I hope you all are enjoying crypto's little rally here. And it seems like we've got some nice legs behind us. And these kind of tools were sort of giving us sort of the context of what the market state is. And frankly speaking, it still looks that now we're actually getting buy signals here. But our bullish percentage continues to work higher. I don't see any quit in this crypto market. And I like crypto. I mean, we can go through all of these different risk categories, just as an illustration. But hopefully just keep that crypto image in your mind. And then we look at something like, say, the Dow Industrials. And you can see it's begrudgingly being pulled up here as well. So, like I said, that crypto signaling system, I think it's actually a really great leading indicator for risk in the market. Beautiful, beautiful work that Sjord's doing here. And I actually think this is like next level. Once this gets crisped up, the information itself will drive. I don't know where the hell the top on this damn website and this community is. It could be just staggering the heights that this place reaches. Sure hope I'm around to enjoy it, because I'll tell you, like something like as simple as a key reversal. I've spent 20, 30 years in the marketplace. I can market this to anybody. I mean, I think I've shown you guys. I mean, this is ridiculous just over the past few days. Here's crypto. I mean, you tell me, does that look like a bear market? I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. Oh, goddamn crypto market looks like this. It's nuts. I mean, I suppose this isn't sustainable over time, but there's no short there. Be careful. Don't get too bearish here on this stuff. Man, this is nuts. And the worst part about these kind of moves is you go, okay, this is the top. And then all of a sudden you get some sort of insane blow off candle that's going to blow out any short position. Excuse me. And that's your top, kind of like this. Woo! And then it has to come screaming down. But anyway, that's another conversation. I'm a bit off track here. What I wanted to show you, and it's just, just even the past few days. I mean, it's just crazy. CSCW, and it's so difficult to find this information, but this was a beautiful Q reversal, open lower, closed higher, huge buy signal, just the biggest buy signal you could possibly get, and kaboom! Right? I was oh, look at that, goddamn Paulie's taking off here, Kevin. Jeez, you want to take over this call? I think I got to do a trade here. $4, $3.99. Oh, it hasn't fired yet. Yeah, so, here's a good example of a stock. You can see the bull divs actually confirmed. You can see the W's coming in on Willie and RSI. I suppose if we got some volume pressure, that would probably be the coup de grace. You can see I have been accumulating this thing. I love this stock. I've known this stock for, 10 to 15, 20 years, back when it was like 12 cents a share. It was really interesting whether I was going to get blown out of here, but look at the little double bottom that they put in right at the gap here. Anyway, so that's something I might go pick up a little bit more ahead of Mr. Biden's big infrastructure speech tonight. And, if we do lose these lows, then I'll probably just walk away from the whole thing and book the whole loss. It's trader's life. That's the way it goes. What I wanted to show you, and I showed you that other one just a moment ago, that CSCW, the Q reversal. I've been sort of talking recently to the community about how what I think is going to happen here is it's just going to be business as usual. Nothing's going to change. More Japanification, more dilution of the currency. I think crypto is probably going higher here on that kind of talk. And stock markets and risk work their way higher. And, the theme of late has been higher long-term interest rates, as they're going to call it future anticipated growth. Okay, whatever. But higher long-term interest rates, which I think is going to squeeze the international bond market really hard over the next year or two. But one thing that did jump out at me is, of course, commodities. It's almost like there's a collective reduction in the value of the world currencies, and all of them, and commodity prices themselves are just simply being repriced higher. And a great visual to see sort of this continuation is Jesus, there's another one of these goddamn key reversal signals. And look at that. And I even remember when I saw this and I said to the community, this son of a bitch is just going to race up to new highs. And there you go. Bang, 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 bang. Away she goes. So you tell me, would it be handy to get a nice little list of stocks and cryptocurrencies that are firing key reversal signals? And as I said, I've been in this business 30 years. I've never seen a service that can produce this kind of signaling system. Never. So, once we're ready for prime time, oh my goodness, this TRI site. I mean, it's going to be like the world is just stomping down our door as soon as I actually get all the tools in place. I can put together the pretty marketing, sort of exactly what I showed you there, but in a very sort of methodical step-by-step, how does this relieve your pain kind of way. Oh boy, sky's the limit for TRI, I'll tell you. Sort of back to what I'm supposed to be talking about with you guys. What's sort of our expectation here on the short term? I think I've sort of talked to you guys recently about, I was thinking that the US dollar was going to take a nice serious test against these because this was a weak window. And of course, the market wasn't weak at all through this and actually steamed. Now we're back into a strong market state. And look at that son of a bitch go. You can see that this cycle, we're probably going to come to an end probably through Biden's speeches about reflating the economy and tons and tons and tons of new debt, whatever. As I've said recently, I think probably my number one job is don't get in the way of this trade. Kevin was telling the audience today he's actually starting to get up into double levels on his trade on this. So ironically enough, usually when these trades start spitting out doubles, that's probably some sort of pivot. You guys get all angry at me when I put like tweets out banging out doubles, and then all of a sudden the damn stock stops going up, or the cryptocurrency. So the fact that those trades, and if I understand correctly, it was a spread trade, but probably it's across the board. I think my options are up quite a bit from where I bought them, but I don't want to touch this thing. Like I said, I would prefer just to leave this alone. It's a 2022 call option. I want to come back in 2022 and say, okay, where the hell is this damn thing? Because I got a funny feeling this is going a lot higher. But anyway, only time will tell. Obviously, feeling no pain. I don't know how many options I bought. I might sell like an odd lot just to get my original capital back, but on balance, I was pretty proud of myself for having the balls to get US dollar bullish through there when, everybody and their fucking brother told me I was an idiot for being US dollar bullish. Well, ha! On you. Stocks, I think they're catching a bit of a bid here heading into the Biden speech on sort of anticipation of a massive reflation of the economy. It's kind of sad. Now he's talking about another $4 trillion spending program. How crazy did the socialists get here? Didn't he just get $1.9 trillion? And sadly, of course, as I've said repeatedly, this plays right into the banksters' hands. The more debt that you issue, of course, the more they're in control. And they will do nothing more than reserve lend against that collateral base and dramatically inflate the economy. Who knows how big this damn economy gets by the time all the dust settles here. I wouldn't be surprised. Before I'm dead, they're talking about $100 trillion economies. Wouldn't surprise me. And unfortunately, what goes up must come down. You say $100 trillion economy. Well, really nothing changes. What's really going to change here is, a loaf of bread's $50, $100. Jug of milk at the grocery store is $30, $40. That's what we're heading towards here. So, party. Of course, all you wonderful Bitcoiners, you went and bought your Bitcoin as a good hedge back when it was, hundreds and even single digits, thousands. So here you are, 50, 60 Gs. Actually, Bitcoin did the hedge job. And your account value should be now in dollars appreciably higher, which just did nothing more than offset the fact that it's going to cost a hell of a lot more money to go and buy that loaf of bread. It's just the way it is. So, congratulations to the crypto community for seeing this opportunity. The crazy thing is we're in this type of environment right now where, if there's any kind of slip up, if Joe happens to stutter through a speech here, or maybe even have a stroke or something, all hell could break loose, sort of leadership wise. The part of the American society that supported people like Trump and stuff, Mr. Trump is an interesting character, but I definitely think that those people have not gone away. And actually, it was interesting. I was sharing with the community through the Daily Brief today that there's a gentleman who's pretty popular on YouTube now who said he is officially going to file a lawsuit against the U.S. Federal Reserve. Oh, geez, here we go. So my number one concern through this entire period, and it was the same thing through Mr. Trump, is I don't think this is really necessarily a value issue. I think this is more a question of confidence. And I'll tell you, if, things like lawsuits of the U.S. Federal Reserve start going forward, audit the Fed, there's still a lot of question of who's in control, what's going to happen. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. If the bankers feel like things aren't going their way and they just pull the carpet out from underneath the economy, oh boy, all hell could break loose here. And the irony of it all is we're kind of thinking that there's one more crash in the stock market that needs to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's sort of maybe this turns into some sort of political football here with the U.S. Fed. So you can kind of see how we kind of did this projection. Actually, there's a guy on the site, Marat, who actually showed me a really cool mathematical model. And you can see I've had this conversation with you guys before. Don't be surprised if something like this happens down the road, people. Do not be surprised. It's going to be a really wild few years ahead of us. I suppose the good thing for crypto and all that kind of stuff right now is we're still on the upswing. So how up is up? And, maybe the bankers are sort of playing with the market a little bit here. Trust me, if they start to see that there's trouble, they'll either knock off the current political leaders, and they've done it before, or they'll try and inject some sort of civil war or something to change the conversation, get people to stop talking about bankers and start talking about, things like states' rights versus federal systems and stuff like that, trying to change the conversation. For the time being, what I told the community today is, let's see what Joe has to say tonight. I do find it really interesting that the gold, we'd sort of done this forecast here recently of bonds and gold. Be really interesting to see how the bonds act through tonight and to see how the gold, you can see I've been sort of postulating maybe we have a harmonic forming here. But I do find that railroad tracks fascinating against that level. Like if we can tick up through this 1750 area, then I think the gold's back in play here. And I think that would imply that the bond market sort of confirms above this W here, maybe gets through these highs here, and maybe we start our leg up. But that would actually be, in my opinion, that would require actually the stock market to come off and the oil market to come off. And you can see oil's kind of floundering here. It's already broken. We had this huge battle here the other day, and it's interesting how Mr. Biden's having his speech in, of all places, Pennsylvania. You remember, of course, last election, big controversy in Pennsylvania. And, of course, this is all around the fracking industry there. And, of course, also, too, he's actually doing the speech in Pittsburgh. which is very industrial, very sort of 20th century. Is this him and the Democratic Party rubbing salt in the wound? I don't know. I mean, he's got to pull this speech off and it's got to be received well. Or this might actually backfire in his face. It's a bit dangerous of him to go to Pennsylvania, frankly. But anyway, we'll see what happens. So as I said, I mean, you can kind of see not so much stocks, but interesting, small cap, broader market versus the big cap stocks. You can see there's already an M working here. They need some sort of boost here. And one thing that sort of caught me, which is a bit surprising, but I could see us head into this kind of phase in the market, is we might see a swing back to sort of, I remember a long period of time, there was a trade belong Apple stock, gold, and bonds. We might be in that kind of phase again, because I did see, if you actually look at Apple's chart, horrible fundamentals. I mean, this is insulting fundamentals. People don't realize, like, I as a value investor, I want to buy stocks trading at or near book value. So 30 times book? What a joke. So this is a great illustration of how expensive this stock is. And probably when the crash comes, right, they'll probably bring it back down into sort of, normal valuation levels. But as long as the Fugazi is going, as long as the Burr money printer machine is going, then I think this sort of con job of value plays on. And it's interesting how some of the UBS came up with actually a buy recommendation on the stock today. And, the traders of the community, you should look at it and see, well, it sure looks to me like there's a downtrend line that's been broken, and gee whiz, here comes W's on the other side of the trend line. So keep your eyes peeled on Apple. And I did notice that if we actually look at the broader market, we can see it on here. You can see that really what this is it's a wave of tech buying today. Everybody else is kind of just meh. I think they're all sort of just waiting. What the hell is Biden going to say here today? Now, I wonder whether, this is quarter end. So we should actually be watching the next 2 weeks and probably into sort of like the weekend of the 10th, especially since this is like Easter holiday here. So this is going to be kind of messy trading here anyway. Gee whiz. Easter holidays, FYI, Bitcoin does not like Easter. So just be prepared, people. But I wouldn't be surprised if by sort of like, 12th, 13th, we're going to sort of get an idea of what the next quarter, sort of like what the fund managers think sort of the economic state is. And I just wonder with the last day of this quarter, window dressing kind of idea, if that's what's maybe going on with price here with these tech stocks. And also, too, this might sort of be relieving oversold conditions, which, if Biden comes out and says, I'm going to tax social media for every single tweet that goes out, there's going to be a penny tax or something like that. You might find that tech actually gets hit pretty hard tomorrow following this speech tonight. I don't know. From what I understand, Mr. Biden's speech is going to be infrastructure, tax the rich, soak the rich to pay for infrastructure. Whether he can pull it off or not, we'll see. So unfortunately, a big part of today's conversation is, we're just setting ourselves up for tonight's speech, and then let's just see what the hell happens. And I'll tell you, man, there are some really interesting battles that are being set up as we speak. Speaking of which, I don't think it should surprise anybody that, we won't look at RSI. We will look at Zicorn on the range, and what a surprise, 78.6, good old foggy boggies, and look at the mess through here. And if anything, this is such a classic analogy of this goddamn trader's life. It drives you crazy. Market's working its way higher. You draw your foggies, 2.618. Okay, we banged into there. Then notice we jumped up to here, 78.6 off the range, and there's a bunch of guys that are going to be selling that level. It is what they do. Kind of like Mountain Man just sells his level. So that's what these people are. And then notice, the trade got a little bit of traction, but not really a hell of a lot. Why? Because I think this number had to be traded to. These damn mathematical things, man. Don't fight this shit. I even put a tweet out the other day. Look, you can respect his hair. You can like his hair. You can hate his hair. Who cares? But you got to respect the math. I mean, this is insanity. So anybody who drew a foggy off of this level and saw that price action last night, you should go, well, what a surprise. Boom. And actually, Kevin was even pointing out that there has been one hell of a fight off of his higher time frame foggy level down here at 51. This foggy that was drawn was off of pretty much the entire range, going back like all the way here, right? So boom, 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 foggy boggy. I also have another one. I don't know. Oh, that's a 38.2 retracement. So that's probably, ironically enough, that's key support. So foggy boggies off of here, bang, right into that 50 Gs. And it's interesting that, remember that 50 grand number. You'll notice that there is that 50 grand. So, and this is a great analogy of this sort of what does chaos look like? You can see, man, this was an absolute mess. We W'd underneath there. We M'd on top of it. And then notice we came down, we kissed it, and boom, straight back up. So what this kind of tells me in simplest terms, just keep it simple, stupid. Because of that foggy buggy, why don't we throw that on there? And I'm probably talking too much. I don't know how long I've talked here today, but probably way too much. Foggy buggy, bang. So there's that 50 grand. There's that low. There's the chaos entering it. So quite literally what this means to me now is, if we go and M out through that level, carve out a big honk and see you later, then we're probably done. And actually, we're even drawing trend lines now. I think you can even start drawing them even steeper, which is scary, right? When these trend lines get super steep like this, right? And what I was sort of suggesting to site members today, I mean, this hasn't broken down yet, but what I was sort of suggesting to site members is if this does break, ironically enough, the short trade is actually if it M's out and sort of comes back and kisses that and then M's there. That's the actual trade. So I wouldn't be surprised if we into 38.2s. We've talked about that lots before, but then we spend a whole bunch of time playing around in here. And that's on the assumption that this thing breaks. And as I showed you there a moment ago, I'll leave that on there. How the hell is this market going to turn into a bear when you have like this kind of price action? I mean, that thing's pointing up. How about this one? That's pointing up. How about this one? That's a new high. And these are all versus US dollar too. So this is like hard currency. Now there is a bit of red, don't get me wrong. But, I've seen a bunch of these names. Well, actually, that's not really doing anything special. Actually, and this is an interesting library credits. Well, we might actually, this probably be a good test case scenario as to whether the SEC has any more teeth. We were talking about this through the daily brief today. I actually like the idea, and actually you can see it right here that let's just, see how this SEC story plays out. We did buy some down. I think it was in here we got super excited about. Got nice trades off, nice doubles. Woohoo, feeling pretty good. If this is still a momentum trade, then we won't go beyond 66 and we'll start Wing and breaking trend lines and away we go. Momentum trade. If, however, we can't hold this Mountain Man level, we start working our way lower, then believe it or not, actually, I think a trade back down into these lows seems totally realistic, and I would consider that a value trade. And Kevin was even mentioning, what was it? It was Cripple, right? Cripple got into hot water with the regulators, and I don't know where the best place to show you this is, but big dump back against lows, and look what came in. So down, up, down, breakout. So was this maybe somebody knew that this was coming down the pike, and so they pumped it, get free coins, whatever, pull it right back down into support on that sort of big FUD event, and they got a slap on the wrist from the SEC, pay a big fine, kiss some bureaucrats' asses, whatever, and we just resume the uptrend. I got a feeling that that's what's going to happen here. Of course, you never know what the hell's going to happen in the future, but I do actually like that library credits revisiting its previous lows. I noticed names like this are powering to new highs. That's not a bear market. That's a bull market. What's really weird about this is actually I was looking in my account today over on Trex, and I have this thing. I don't know where the hell this damn thing came from, but it's it's doubled in value just overnight. Guess it's coming off here a bit now. Actually, no, this must have been versus BTC. And I was quite surprised. Big jump up. No, that's something else. No, it's HBD, isn't it? And all I'm saying, the only reason why I'm mentioning this is that's not a bear market. I think this is moving on this sort of steam at play. I mean, really, this is supposed to be a stable coin. Stuff doesn't make any sense to me what they're doing to this space. But anyway, the point of the matter here is there's a hell of a lot of up on my screen here. And a lot of these markets are moving to new highs, relatively speaking. That's not a bear market. So it's very tough for me to get too bearish on this space. I would say, though, we have to be careful. Maybe we're getting a bit of buy the rumor. And then maybe after tonight's speech, we're going to get a sell the news. Do you see people on the lounge? Even as I'm speaking, they're talking about OMG. What the hell is this thing doing? Oh boy, look out. Now, does that look like a bear market? That doesn't look like a bear market. The old expression is show me a new high and I'll show you a buy. I mean, Brian, I'm a cheap ass. There's no way I'm going to chase that. But that doesn't look like a bear to me. If anything, this looks like it's about to go ape shit. So get ready. I'm having lots of fun with these little ones. I think I got off just an insane win the other day. What the hell was that damn thing? Can't even remember what the hell the names of these things are. But it's just fun just flipping this stuff. I'm a trader, right? I buy low, sell high. Look at that. I think I went in and I think my buy was somewhere in this mess. And of course, I banged off. I think it was like 16x or something on this. I mean, that's just crazy. But what I will say is when they do this, for God's sakes, pay yourself. All right. And the worst part about it is the public comes in here and then they start going, stay strong, metal army. Well, why? That's a dumb purchase. The price should come back down into here. And, maybe they'll trump up SEC lawsuits to get the stock back down here. Or what is it, cryptocurrency. But you can't chase that. Please. I don't want to hear any TRIers buying these kind of names that look like this. And you YouTubers, if you are finding that you are buying charts that look like this, smarten up. Right? That you're just throwing your money away. Okay, I think I'll leave the rant at that. Slow and steady wins the race. Interesting, we came up into some interesting levels here where if the bear wants to step up, I think they have the permission. I don't like the idea of hitting a short right here. Having said that, if we get a nice big fat M that develops on the other side of that speech tonight, I will definitely consider this rally long in the tooth, but I don't see that. I mean, it's going to have to develop. Right now, we had just a V top, V bottom, screaming right back up. I don't see any reason why this high can't be taken out. So if you're thinking top, there's no real hurry here. The ABCD that we talked about recently should take us up into that sort of 61 and change area. And that's really just a revisit of the old highs. Then we're going to find out whether this thing's actually for real or not. So slow and steady wins the race. Let's see what Uncle Joe has in store for us tonight. Don't take no wooden nickels. Great to be back on the tube after yesterday's break. Go check out George Gammon's going to sue the U.S. Federal Reserve Board videos. Oh, boy. Actually, Kevin was telling us Age of Aquarius. Maybe we are moving into more of a power to the people. Let's root George on. He's going to bring this entire Fakezi banking system to its knees, and we're all going to be free on the other side of this. The irony of it all, like I said, is that the more sort of that lack of confidence in the system, the more uncertainty, the more fear, well, that plays right into this thing's hands. And you never know, by the end of this thing, I'm not going to dare call a top on this. It's got a head of steam behind it. I will just simply say when this market tops out, we'll see big fat M's, and then we'll know that the bull is done. For now, stay tuned, folks. Like I said, let's see what Joe has to say tonight, and let's see what the market's reaction is tomorrow. All right, everybody. Rant. Hope you enjoyed that. All the best. Kevin, if you could take us out of here. The only thing left for TRI, good old Brian to stay here, is a big bye for now.